You're listening to the Biblethumpingwingnut Show, the show that's safe for the whole family. Unless your family contains professing atheists.
Welcome, everybody, to another podcast, the Biblethumpingwingnut podcast. It is Sunday evening, September 6th. We are live on YouTube, Google Hangout. We're live on Mixlr for the Mixlr feed or for the Google Hangout, whatever. Just search Biblethumpingwingnut.com. Go to our, is that me doing that?
It must be you.
Me coming through. Welcome, everybody, there to another podcast. Let me find that. It is Sunday. Got so many windows open. That's super professional. But
that's what you get here. That's what you get with the Bible Thumping Wingnut.
And we have two Matt Slicks in the Google Hangout. That's an added benefit.
I was trying to get you messed up. Sorry.
It is like I said. It's Sunday night, September 6th, and we're back. We're back with Matt Slick. Matt Slick was not here last week. I'm going to be doing some production stuff here and adding people to the Google Hangout. But as I do that, I wanted to give Matt Slick a chance to give us an update on what was going on last week. What'd you do? So, Len, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, Matt, you had a debate last weekend. That's why you were too good to sit down with us. Actually, you weren't too good to sit down with us. You were busy. So tell us about your debate. Who did you debate, and what was the topic? How'd it go?
Well, I debated Shadid Lewis for the second and third time. We had two debates on Saturday, one at 10 o'clock and one about 2 o'clock. And the first debate was something, if I remember correctly, it was why did we choose to accept or reject Islam? And then we did a second debate, why did we choose to accept or reject Christianity? So there was a 12-minute opening and then a bit of a response from each person.
You had a debate last weekend. That's why you were too good to sit down with us.
Yeah, I was in Seattle, and I had to preach the next day.
And what was the topic? How'd it go?
Well, I debated Shadid Lewis for this third time.
What's happening here?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out.
And the first debate was something, if I remember correctly, it was why did we choose to accept or reject Islam? And then we did a second debate, why did we choose to accept or reject Christianity? So there was a 12-minute opening and then a bit of a response from each person.
You had a debate last weekend. That's why you were too good to sit down with us.
Yeah, I was in Seattle. What is going on? It's all messed up. Next day, and the traffic.
And I'm going to boot you from this hangout, dude.
Well, I debated Shadid Lewis.
You ought to.
Start over. Saturday. Have you ever heard that error called PEBCAC?
You go ahead.
Between keyboard and user.
Are we good now? I don't even know where we left off.
Give it a shot. So there was talking to him. How's it looking? No. I thought we just open it up.
All right, so yeah, take two. So you debated Shadid Lewis on why you're not an atheist or why you're not a Muslim. Well, really, what's the difference? Why you're not a Muslim and why he's not a Christian. I take it that was
right.
You were
and it was basically tit for tat kind of a thing at the beginning. Really, when you have an opening statement and someone has an opening statement, it's not that easy to really recant, to correct, do all kinds of stuff. There is and there isn't in the way we did it. But people were telling me that really where it hit the fan for him was in the cross-examination, because I'd watched him in another video where he was trying to decide which is better, Christianity or Islam. So he came up with these criteria he would judge both by, drug abuse in the nation. Maybe these aren't exact particulars, but it was things like this, how many people are fornicating, adultery, whatever criteria it was he had. So during the cross-examination, I mentioned some of these, and I said, and what makes you think that that criteria is the right one by which you could judge God?
Right.
And he had no idea what to do with that, and he was backpedaling. And so in the cross-exam, I was just firing questions at him like this, and he wasn't ready for a presuppositional approach, and it really knocked him back on his heels quite a bit. That's what people are telling me, that it was pretty obvious that that's where the debate really happened.
So. So when can we expect it? You said you don't have a copy of the debate footage yet, but that'll be forthcoming on CARM.org, we assume, or
some other place. Sometimes it just gets released out on the YouTube, and then I hear about it. But I'm in contact with the guy in it who runs ministrytomuslims.com, and he's the one who arranged all of this stuff and arranges the debates. So when he releases it, I'll let you know.
awesome.
Yeah.
What else is new in CARM land?
Well, I may be going to Colombia in about 4 weeks. We can raise the funds to do that. Our finances aren't very good, so I got a GoFundMe account. So I've been asked to go down there and speak to some pastors, speak to some people about some stuff, and be there for the opening of the CARM Apologetic School in Villavicencio, I think is where it is. And go down there on a Saturday, come back a week and a day later on a Sunday, kind of a thing. And I want to go, but I don't want to go. You know, it's just traveling's hard, and you know, different food, different culture, different this, different that. It's a bit daunting. It usually takes 2 or 3 days to recover when you get back. But you know, the Lord opens the doors, I'll go through them. So that's happening, and the same guy who's in charge of that down there is also going to Cuba, and he should be in Cuba right now, as a matter of fact, and because there are pastors in Cuba who are interested in the schools as well, and they want they want to have the schools expanded, so he's working there. So that's going well. We have a guy full-time in Turkey, and we haven't got the site ready in Turkish. We've got enough articles now ready to populate a site in Turkish for CARM, the CARM equivalent. We just got to get the tech guys together to put the Drupal modules in the right place, the language modules, which I have no idea how to do. And then we're also working with a guy in Brazil, in Portuguese. And we got another guy who's interested in doing some stuff in German. So the need is expanding, but the finances aren't. We can't keep up with it. So we're having a little bit of an issue there.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's expensive stuff.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, I tried to get another Ferrari, but, you know, I couldn't pass the test.
Well, you know, Ferrari, Learjet, you know, those are big decisions for a engineer like yourself.
Real big decisions, Ferraris or Learjet. I think I'd rather have a Learjet, but I don't know. We'll see.
I'm with you there. I'm with you there, brother.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. I guess I haven't been sowing my seed faithfully enough, though, because it still hasn't happened. So.
Yeah, that reminds me. I checked on a local pastor today. Not today, but a couple of days ago. And people have been asking me about him. This church is just expanding. It's exploding. The first sermon I listened to, he said that your words are more powerful in your life than God's words.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, uh-oh is correct. People are in the background, amen, amen. Little gods, you know, they're little gods. They have more power than God. And, you know, so that's about it. Still working on CARM and doing all the stuff I got to do, and here we are. I'm just hoping some atheists come in. We can have some good discussions tonight.
Yep. Well, we're waiting for Tim to open up the floodgates here.
Well, open them.
Tim, you got things figured out here yet?
More powerful in your life. There was some technical difficulties with some of the stuff here.
Is he even there? It looks like his screen is frozen.
Yeah, why don't you just take it over and open it up and let him work on stuff?
Well, yeah, I'll do that. I will put the link right now. I'm going to go put it in YouTube, and
put it in here, too, so I can check it.
All right. And post. It's good to go. So let me put it up in here for you as well. There you go. I'm going to go tweet it out. If you have a question, if you're a Christian, an atheist, a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Mormon, and you have questions for Matt Slick, look in our comment feed. I left a comment as Matthew419. That's my YouTube username, and the link to join the Hangout is in there, so please come on in, ask your questions. I'm going to go, if you follow me on Twitter, my Twitter is at PreceptPreacher, and I will be tweeting it live there also, so you can link there. And if you don't follow me on Twitter, go follow me, just because I say really smart things over there all the time. So anyhow,
hey, we've got 40 people watching, so maybe we can get in there. Maybe they might ask some questions. I know that the atheists are a little bit intimidated coming in right now, but I try to understand why. We ask them difficult questions. They don't do well answering. Yes, that is a challenge to the atheists. Come on.
Oh yeah. They don't like it though.
That's right. Hey, Veckel, how you doing, man? Come on in, buddy. I'm an atheist,
Yep.
and I thumbed it up. Chaswald Almighty. Come on, you guys. Come on in. I actually want to have a debate. I want to do another public debate, either with Dan Barker or Eddie Tabash, on the validity of atheism as an intellectual position.
Yeah. Is atheism an intellectual position?
It's an intellectual position because it's assumed and believed. It's an abstraction. But is it defensible? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a defensible position in light of the evidence, the facts, the logic, etc.? I'd also love to build a debate an atheist on the issue of objective morals. That would be fun.
All right. So, Tim, you did not change the cameraman options here, I see. So everyone's who's here is now visible and able to participate. So let's see, your first to join the group was the Meows Cat. Brother, what's going on, man?
Hey, yeah, that's Vincent, by the way, just for people who think that I'm trying to hide behind a name or a screen name. But I'm doing okay. I actually had a quick question for Matt
Sure.
about his thoughts on the judge who was now jailed for not signing documents for same-sex marriages.
The judge? Good for him.
It's actually her, but yeah.
You mean the woman who's jailed in Kentucky?
I believe so.
Yeah, she's in jail because she would not hand out licenses for homosexual marriages.
Okay. Yeah. So your thoughts on that are just good for her?
Yes, good for her. Absolutely. This country has a history of quiet rebellion. It happened in the civil rights movement, and some of it wasn't so quiet. There are different kinds of rebellion that are allowed and part of our history. And what's happening is the Christians, as we have talked about before, are becoming more and more persecuted in the church and in our culture. And when the unbelievers get in and start telling us what we can do, even in our public lives, they say, you must do such and such because we're the ones who are going to tell you what you can and can't do according to your religious convictions. When they start doing that, and if we start agreeing to that, they're just going to continue to push and push us off the cliff. So what she's doing, I think, is the right thing to do. I absolutely think it's the right thing to do. I wouldn't be able to do it if I had that job. I would not be able to say, yeah, here's a certificate for you, two guys to get married. I couldn't do it. Sorry. Fire me if you're going to fire me. I won't be able to do it. I have no problem. And so the unbelievers don't like it. Now they're jailing her.
What about those who say she should resign? If it's something that's against her conscience and her position requires it, should she resign?
I say no. Because if a Christian resigns from a position like that, then the vacuum will be filled by an unbeliever. As Christians, we're supposed to knock down the gates of hell, Matthew 16:18. Not sit there and go, it's too difficult, I'm going to just bow out, let the unbelievers have more and more of our ground. No. Christians should be lining up and filling out applications to get that position so they can do the same thing. Christians should be trying to get into government and doing this all over the place. There should be missionary efforts by Christians who want to go into public places so that they can politely stand for the truth.
You know what you sound like, don't you?
What?
A theonomist.
Well, if that's what it happens to sound like, then I'm theonomist, I got it right. But I would just say that we are obligated to serve God rather than man, and we're supposed to be salt in the world. If we hide in the cupboard, we're not salt in the world. Get out into the world. That's what I say.
I think I fixed my problem.
Your microphone is not working, though.
My microphone's not working?
Yeah,
well,
I'm hearing you.
It's your laptop computer, though. It's not your microphone.
I'll take care of that.
Because you sound like you're in your bathroom. So.
How would you know what he sounded like in the bathroom? I won't ask.
Well, I just know I don't know. I'm just gonna.
You have your own bathroom. That's how you respond.
Is that better now? One,
Yes.
two.
Yeah, there it is.
There we go.
But
All
yeah,
right.
I
I
would.
think the person that I've been speaking to throughout the week, I think he just entered the room.
All right.
Oh, Mike?
Let me see. Yeah, Mike.
How you doing, sir?
Yeah. You're the one who's been PMing me on Facebook?
Constantly.
Yeah. Good to have you. Good to have you on. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but I haven't been paying attention to this hangout because I've been dealing with difficult technical difficulties. But Len and Matt have been speaking. But I wanted to give you an opportunity to come in as soon as you came in to engage with Matt Slick, because I know you've been interested in communicating with me. So you're on.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was just gonna ask a random question. So one of my objections to Christianity is like, for me personally, it's like we're basing everything on God's word, and the thing with me is like, I'm thinking like, why should I even believe him? Like, even if I was talking to him face to face, he could be lying to me. Like, when he tells me he doesn't lie, he could be lying when he says that.
Who's the he?
Can I just continue on his train of thought, maybe?
Okay. I'm not sure what's happening here. Mike, are you an atheist?
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of atheist? I can know who I'm talking to. Are you a strong atheist or a weak atheist?
Probably. I don't know exactly what that means, but I'll go with weak.
Weak atheist says you don't know if God is or is not real. A strong atheist says God does not exist.
I am weak then.
Okay. And so why ought we believe in God?
It's not, well, for me, it's like I don't really think so much of whether he exists or not. It's more like, for me, it's like if he does exist, I still have objections, though.
Well, wait a minute. If he exists, shouldn't you then believe in him and trust in him?
That connection could be made, and maybe that's a reasonable connection, but for me, I'm still unconvinced that that's a necessary connection.
Well, if he's there and he's the creator of the universe, he's obviously a lot bigger than you. And he can do with you as he desires. Don't you think it makes sense to be concerned about his attitude towards you?
Yes.
Okay. If it makes sense, then the only way for you to know him would be if he revealed himself to you. Because your, no offense meant, but your idea of who God might be versus my idea, you know, if we're just two guys out on an island talking about it, who knows? We both could be wrong. One of us could be right. You know, that kind of a thing. But the only way we could know anything would be if he were to reveal himself to us. That makes sense so far?
I think that does make sense, because that's pretty much what the Bible teaches, right?
Yes. Would you agree with me that if he were to make himself known to us, that the conditions of that, let's just say, revelation to us would be special?
Yeah, but see, I still have an objection, because I do agree with you that it would require him to reveal himself to us, but my whole thing is, how do I know he's revealing himself to me in a non-deceptive way?
Well, let's talk about that first, okay? You see, if God is lying to you, then he would be self-refuting. He'd be wrong. He'd be morally wrong. Then we ought not follow him. But if he exists, he made the universe, because the universe didn't bring itself into existence. And if he exists, he's going to have to be consistent within himself, because he's God. He is what he is. His nature is great. It's huge. It would have to be in order to bring the universe into existence.
Yeah.
But if God was a deceiver, like in Islam, he's a deceiver. In Surah 354, God is the greatest of deceivers, Makher. He is the greatest of deceivers. But if something refutes itself, it can't be true. There's a principle. So if I were to say, for example, there are no absolute truths, that statement refutes itself. Well, if it refutes itself, it can't be true. If God lies, he's refuting himself. And it would be a sense where we could say, well, there's some aspect in which he would not be true because he'd be lying. He's refuting himself. But here's the problem. If he's lying, the only way we could know if he's lying if the laws of logic exist. The law of identity, law of non-contradiction, law of excluded middle. We wouldn't know what a lie is without those things being in place. We wouldn't know. Well, the thing is, and I'm not going to go through all the details, that if these laws exist, and they do, they're also transcendent. It's something always is what it is. You know, for example, this drinking cup. It's just a cup. It's a cup. It's not my cell phone. Okay?
Right.
You recognize that they are different. It's called the law of identity. It's called A equals A. If I were to say to you, for example, this is a telephone, you'd know that's not correct because by definition, its identity is it's a drinking cup. It's a cup. And it's different in nature and essence. What you're doing is you're agreeing and you're recognizing the absolutes of these laws. Only in the Christian worldview can these laws be accounted for, and they can only have their universality and consistency in a worldview in which God himself is consistent and absolute. If he were lying, these laws could not have their place.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it's kind of like a circle, but it works. Because the transcendental laws of logic are not dependent upon our experience for their validity, nor are they dependent upon our minds for their validity. Because your mind and my mind are different. But the laws of logic are independent of us. We refer to them. But laws are abstractions. Logic is a process of the mind, and the laws of logic are also abstractions. So if they're abstractions, they require a mind, a universal mind. But since the laws of logic are absolute, it requires an absolute mind, an absolute, immutable, unchangeable mind. But that could not be if God lied and was self-refuting.
That was a lot to swallow there. I'm thinking, I'm still wondering if it's possible that I don't really know how to respond to that than my original premise, because
Let's say, how do you know that God would be lying? Let me do a simpler version. The fact that we have these consistent laws of logic that are transcendent, and because by nature they're abstractions, then it's logical to infer. Since they're universal abstractions, we can infer there's a universal mind. Since the laws of logic are not self-refuting, they should reflect the same mind. The mind would not be self-refuting, therefore that mind could not lie. So God could not lie to us.
Well, but it's God who says that he doesn't lie, which is making me think that that's the like that's his default position, that he doesn't lie.
There's a practical side of this.
Okay.
Hey, he's bigger than you. You better be careful and do what he says.
Yeah.
And now if he says he doesn't lie, how would you know? See, here's another problem. What would you have to have or be able to prove that God lied? You'd have to have something external to him or an external means by which you could judge him. That's impossible because you're external to him in one sense, but you're not ubiquitous. You're not everywhere. So therefore, you can't know all things by which you could determine whether or not God is lying or not.
Oh, okay, interesting.
You know, solipsism is the view that our mind is all that exists, that everything's an emanation of our mind. Well, how would you know that? Well, there are ways to get around that. But the idea of how would you know if God is lying? Well, there's no way to know it from that perspective. But if there's no way to know it, it's not falsifiable.
Okay.
If it's not falsifiable, it's generally not something you want to hold on to, generally speaking.
Okay.
But the God of Christianity has demonstrated to us his consistency and his truth nature, particularly in the revelation of Jesus Christ. So if you were to, so to speak, read through the Gospels, and you just read all the red words of Jesus, get a Bible with the red words, and you're to read, well, he claims to be God in flesh, all right? He claims that, John 8:24, unless you believe that I am, you'll die in your sins. Well, if he claims to be God in flesh, then we would expect that he wouldn't contradict himself or lie to us. If you read through, you'll see, hey, he's smart, he's wise, he's loving, he's sacrificial. That's not consistent with a nature that is a lying nature, a deceptive nature. But I will say this, a nature that can lie, like the God of Islam in Surah 354, he is a liar. He does not show consistent love, and he is arbitrary. Because in Islam, inshallah, if God wills, then you might be able to be saved from your sins depending on your good works. But if your good works are 1,000 to 1 good and 1 bad, you still don't make it to heaven. There's no guarantee because he's inconsistent with his own nature.
Okay.
What you're actually describing and raising the issues with fits the God of Islam, not the God of Christianity.
Okay, I get it. All right, thanks for your response, and thanks, Mr. Tim, for letting me ask it. Oh, yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Let me read an email, Mike, and maybe you'll think of something else you want to ask Matt Slick. But I got this email today, Matt, and I think it's appropriate for me to read it now. It is from Stephen C. Anderson, and Stephen says, "You state the laws of logic and morals are things like that come from God. In what way do you deny that it could come from any other God besides the one described in the Bible? I don't know how to pronounce this word, but a Toast or a Hindu version of God could...
Taoist.
Okay, a Taoist or a Hindu version of God could also be listed as a source of logic and morals, considering they see all things manifested of God, though they don't use the specific name, which then would mean that since man is God, that would account for our ability to reason and use logic and come up with our morals. Sincerely, Stephen." Now, my response would be, you have just abandoned your atheism, and now you want to argue from a God perspective. And okay, fine, let's do a debate. If you want to represent the God that you believe in, we can do a debate against the biblical God, the one found in the Christian scriptures. That would be my response. What would be your response, Matt Slick?
Well, he talks about several things. The laws of logic and morals, objective morals and the laws of logic are abstractions. They're codifications. They're of the mind, and they require a mind. If there are any objective morals, then we could imply that there's an objective mind. And same thing with the laws of logic. But the laws of logic require, because I would say this, I would say that the laws of logic, because they're immutable, because they're absolute, because they're transcendent, because they're abstractions, they would require an immutable, transcendent, absolute mind. If there's more than one God, as in Hinduism, you could not then have the laws of logic be grounded in a particular mind and to be grounded in all minds. But how could you have all minds be identical in their support of the transcendental nature of the laws of logic? Because if they were, then are they submitting to those transcendental laws which are external to themselves, which itself requires a mind? Hence the idea of applying the transcendental nature of the laws of logic in Hinduism refutes Hinduism. It means it can't work. Taoism, I haven't studied enough to be able to show you the internal inconsistency. But as far as saying, since man is God, well then, you're right, he's refuting his own position. But man is not God. First of all, you've got to define your terms. God is that incorporeal being, the absolute transcendent one, outside of the universe, who's the creator of the universe. And if man is God, then that would imply that man is the creator of himself and the universe that he lives in, which is a self-refuting position. Furthermore, if man is God, what he's trying to say is man has the divine nature. Well, what does that mean? Because if everybody's divine, then nothing's divine. If everybody is, if all animals in the world are dogs, then there's no such thing as horses. There's no differentiation. So when he says man is God, it's really a meaningless statement. It's just a self-elevation issue, as Satan said to Eve, "You will be like God, knowing good and evil," in Genesis 3. So the statements don't have any coherence and can't be defended.
Okay, cool. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
I think is it cool if I just watch the rest of the show or catch a little bit more like?
No, you have to do things like this with your cheeks while you're watching. That's one of the rules. Yeah, you can watch. Just kidding.
Can I? Is it cool if I catch the rest of it offline?
Of course.
All
What
right.
you want?
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Thanks for coming in, Mike.
Thank you too.
I don't know, Len, did you have somebody lined up to speak next?
I think next, that Cyprian fellow who I hid from the broadcast, I will make him present, and you can feel free to ask Matt Slick your question. You have to unmute your mic, though.
I have one question that might require some answering, and another question that's pretty much rhetorical. I'll start with the rhetorical one because let's just get rid of it. I've heard speak about logic and stuff, and I'm just gonna say logically, you know, that all known thing about if there is a God, could he build a rock so big that he couldn't move himself? It's just a simple thing. Let's just go, just move on from it. But the main question would be, like Mike said, I had a friend speak to me. I'm an unbeliever, and a friend of mine said, "But what if Jesus would present himself in your house just one time, you know, during my lifetime? He would just be there in my house, trying to, you know, make me become a believer, or maybe not, just show himself to me. And how would I react to Jesus beaming down? Basically, I'm using maybe the derogatory terms with beaming down, you know, Star Trek and shit. But how would I feel about Jesus just being in my house one morning when I wake up, and I would just meet him in my bedroom, right? Is that a more plausible, maybe not plausible, but more interesting way of putting the same question that Mike with a Y said earlier? In my mind, I feel like I would still go with even seeing Jesus in front of me. Well, of course, I wouldn't know he's Jesus. He just said to me he's Jesus. But I would go with, 20 questions or something like that, just to simplify it for the sake of the argument and have it move forward.
Well, there is a way. There is a way you'd know it was him. There's a way you'd know. Because all he has to do is shine his holiness on you, and you would instantly see yourself as a sinner in the presence of incredible holiness. You would supernaturally know who he is. If he doesn't do that with you, then whatever. But what would require, for you, you say you're an unbeliever. Well,
yes.
Okay, why won't you believe in Jesus?
Can I intervene?
Sure.
I am truly an unbeliever, but I'm not a crazy guy. I would still very easily turn the other side. Let's just say turn Sith because we have cookies. I would easily turn to the other side if there's any proof or something tangible of any sort.
Let me address proof and tangible. Proof is for logic and mathematics.
Yes.
Now, I believe I can prove God exists, but proof is also different than persuasion. I believe that there's what's called a disjunctive syllogism, or it's called the impossibility of the contrary. There's ways to demonstrate using just thinking that God has to exist because it's impossible for him not to exist.
I'm sorry, you just said God has to exist.
Yeah,
when you say that
without him,
has to, that has nothing to do with proof.
Yes, there are
has
proofs.
to.
Yes,
Is anything like
Cyprian. Yes, there are. There's proofs. Want me to give you
no?
one? No, there aren't
But there
any?
is when you imply that thing that says has
Cyprian,
to,
you
that
want me to give
doesn't
you
make any
something?
logical.
You
I'm
want me to
sorry.
try?
No, no, no. Go
You
on.
don't want me to try?
I'm sorry. No.
You don't want me to
What I
try and
meant
prove
is
God
I don't
exists?
want you. No, please do, but don't try to mute me. I'll shut up by myself.
Oh, no. I'm going to ask you a question, okay? I'm going to put a statement in
In the side chat.
in the text.
Okay.
It is always wrong for anyone to torture babies to death merely for their personal pleasure. Do you agree with this statement or do you not agree with the statement? The statement's either true or it's
Give me a
not the
second
case that the
to read
statement's
it.
true.
Is it? Yes, it is wrong. Yes, I do believe it is.
Wait.
I do believe
Wait.
it to be wrong.
Okay. Oh, is the statement true or is it not true?
We're talking about morals right now.
Is the statement true or is it not true?
I believe it to be true.
Okay, true. So then what you believe in is a universal moral truth that everyone ought to follow. Because look what it says. It says
Yes. Yes.
it is
Okay, I
always
agree with
wrong
you.
for
Yes.
anyone,
Agree.
right?
Yes, agree.
What you're
Yes.
agreeing to is a universal moral law that everyone ought to obey.
Yes. Okay, let's
But
go with that.
okay, but that universal law didn't come from you and it did not come from me, did it?
It
I
didn't
mean,
come from Jesus either.
you don't know that.
I do.
Hold on. You know it did not come from you because you're just a creature. It didn't come from
Yes.
me. I'm just a creature. I don't have the ability to make that truth applicable to everyone. Only God could do that.
I'm
Only
sorry.
God could give
Are you
a...
just saying that God is not the same of us as just a creature? Have you just decided that God is different from a creature?
By definition, he's different because he's God. He creates creatures.
I'm sorry. By definition, from what? From the Bible?
By what we use as the terms of God.
I don't use the same terms you use.
Okay, back to the sentence.
Most,
Back to the
yeah.
sentence. The sentence has universal truth value on a moral level. How do you know? How do you account for that as you're an unbeliever? How do you account for that universality?
Moral values?
The universal, that's an objective moral truth. It's an abstraction.
Yes.
It's of the mind that applies to everybody. Now we have two positions to work from: God, not God.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
We only have two positions. If one is removed, the other one is true. It's called a disjunctive syllogism. When you only
Please
have...
do remember that.
Okay, good. We only have two things to work with, and one's removed, one's invalidated, then the other one is automatically true. So we have your position, no God, my position, God.
Sorry, not my position. But
You're an
yeah,
unbeliever.
let's go with that. My position. It's
You're an
not my
unbeliever.
personal only position in the entirety of the planet. It's just one position that I tend to, group with.
Are you an
It's not
atheist?
my personal. Yeah, I am, but I'm
Okay.
not the only one on Earth.
Okay, so
So
you're
it's
an
not my
atheist.
personal belief.
Okay,
It's
Cyprian,
yes.
gotcha. You're an atheist. We have the atheist position, we have the Christian position, we have the
Okay.
God position. Now, from your position, can you give me a reason why that universal moral truth, objective truth statement exists in your atheistic world?
Yes.
How do you account for it in your atheism?
Yes. I would give you the example of so many people have been have been reading the Bible, or
Cyprian, how do you give me a justification for the universal moral truth from your atheistic perspective?
yes.
From an atheistic
Can
perspective,
I?
how
Yes.
do you
Can I
account for
say
that
it?
being universally true?
The thing is, so many people have read the Bible, has seen the Bible, but still have issues with the morals within it.
Okay.
So
You're not listening.
humanity's.
You're not listening.
Give me
You're
a
not
second.
listening.
Give me a second to prove my point, or
No,
just
no, no,
to
no, no,
explain
no,
it.
no,
Okay.
no. I've asked you a specific question. You as an atheist, how do you account for that universal moral truth? As an atheist, don't say
Yes.
people read the Bible differently. How does you as an atheist account for that?
The way I come from that for that is that so many people have seen it and have issues with that. So people's morals go above the morals of the Bible.
Okay.
When that thing happened with
Okay, hold on a sec. Cyprian, when you say above the morals of the Bible, all you're doing is
yes.
giving an opinion. I'm not asking about that. We'll do this one more time, and then if you don't answer, we're going to just move on to somebody else.
That's cool.
I've asked you, and maybe there's a language barrier. What, are you Russian?
I'm Romanian.
Romanian? Okay. The lead singer of KISS speaks Romanian, incidentally. That's interesting. But
truly, I'm not trying to.
It's okay. It's all right.
Bullshit your show or
That's
whatever.
okay. The thing is, the atheist position cannot account for that truth statement being true.
All I'm saying is, let's even forget about the atheist position, which let's call it extreme, maybe, because they have a different opinion, completely different opinion. But I'm saying, even the opinion of people that are Christian, they choose not to follow most of the morals in the Bible. You're trying to ignore my point? Okay.
You are not in this discussion. Yeah, you're not answering my question. I'm trying to show you that the inability of the atheist
I'm
position...
sorry if I'm not going to answer your question in the terms you need to dictate me to answer that. I'm trying to answer your question in plausible terms, nonetheless, but still logical terms. People... Okay, just ignore it. It's okay. Forget about it. I still do believe I was trying to...
I was trying to show you that your view is impossible to account for it. Therefore, the Christian worldview works. I could prove God exists by the impossibility of the contrary. You ought not to deny God. You ought to believe and trust in Him. Because think about this. Well, you know what? We'll just move along because I keep saying something and you go someplace else.
I'm sorry. It's just this one time that I did. I did it. I do recognize that for fear of what I said that in jest. But honestly, the thing is, so many people nowadays living on planet Earth, they do not believe in no, not off topic. I'm talking about the teachings of the Bible.
Does that make it true? Because so many people.
No, I'm not saying it's making it true or false.
Well, that's your argument. That's what you just keep saying over and over again. So many people, and Matt wants to talk about.
Yes, morals. Yes, what I'm trying to say about from that is that people nowadays have developed a sense of morals that overcome the old.
What was wrong? What was wrong with the old way? What makes the new? What makes the new way better? What makes the new way better? What makes your way better?
Not mine. It's not mine. It's people's way.
So you're not giving an argument. You're just saying
other people. As long as most people across the globe have found issues with the morals from the Bible.
So if
it's not me, I'm not talking about me.
So if listen, if most people agreed with the Bible, would that make it true?
No, it wouldn't.
Okay, well then your argument is invalid. You're saying most people don't agree with the Bible, so it's wrong.
We were talking about morals.
So if most people agree with Christian morals, does that make it correct?
I don't think so, personally. Okay, but that's just a personal thought.
But your whole argument is that most people disagree with Christian morals.
Yes, even Christian people.
but it doesn't matter. You just said it doesn't matter.
I didn't. I just said that my personal feelings about it don't matter.
So let's talk about your personal feelings.
Okay.
Don't talk about what most people think. Matt
Yes.
Matt will engage with you if you talk about your position. Stop talking about, well, most people did this or most
Yes,
people did
yes,
that.
you're right. You're right. But whenever I talk about my personal feelings, that don't value shit because it's one person against you guys.
Okay. All
You
right.
gotta
Uh,
watch your mouth,
uh,
dude.
Well,
You
I'm
gotta
sorry. I'm
watch your
sorry. I'm
mouth
sorry.
here.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, that's all
I'm
right. You've been
I'm
warned.
sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. But it is true.
Let's just move
It is
along.
valid that my personal beliefs do not hold a candle against several of you guys having different beliefs. But what I'm saying is the vast majority of humankind did read the Bible or the Quran or some other denomination of religion, and within the
I don't know who I ejected the first time. I accidentally ejected somebody else. I was like, wait a minute, I just ejected him, but he's still talking. How did that happen? And then I checked just to make sure Matt Slick was here, because
Oh,
if I eject him, he wouldn't be able to come back. But that guy, I don't know what the deal is with him. I mean, I tried to get it so that he would present an argument, and then
Look, the technical position is he doesn't have all his paws in the litter box.
yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, he's you've just proved one of the truths Jesus spoke that said, "Broad is the way that leadeth unto destruction, and many will be thereat. Narrow is the way that leadeth unto life, and few be there that find it." So, okay, there's one point of Jesus's you proved true. So, thank you.
Is Chad Wald in the house? I see him in the house. I don't know who that is.
Hey, Hug Tie, how you doing, buddy?
Hello.
Yeah, there's Chad Wall. Hey, what's up?
Jasmold. Hello. I'd like to engage with Matt Slick for a little bit. I'm an atheist, and I was wondering if you could follow me on a little thought experiment here. Right?
All right.
Here we
I'm
go.
going to come to you and tell you I am the one true God. The God that you believe in and the Bible are the lies of the deceiver.
I'm tempted to not only mute this guy but boot him. I mean, seriously. I'm an atheist, so let's go. All right, now I'm God. Seriously, atheist.
Let me
come on.
let's hear him
As I
out.
said, this is a thought experiment.
Let's hear him out for a little bit. But make it quick, because what you're describing has already occurred. But go ahead.
Yeah. So I tell you, I'm the one true God. The God that you believe in and the Bible are the lies of the deceiver. Why do you believe his lies?
So that last statement was that you're the true God of the Bible?
No, I am the one true God. The God that's mentioned in the Bible and the Bible itself are the lies of the deceiver. Why do you believe those lies?
How would I know you're telling me the truth?
Because I'm the one true God. Why
How do I
would you
know?
question the one true God?
How do I know?
Because I've revealed it in such a way that I am the one true God.
You're not
So
answering
you
my
now have to
question.
justify God and the Bible without using God and the Bible.
Wait a minute. I'm trying to understand what your position is here. You're saying that you're the true God who says the Bible's not true.
Yep.
And what's your question about that?
If I am, in this thought experiment, if I am the one true God, and I tell you the God of the Bible, yeah, that you believe in as the one true God, is a deceiver, and ask you, why do you believe his deceptions, what is your response to that?
Well, by definition, if you are the one true God, if the premise is true to begin with, then I'm obligated to believe what that one true God said, right?
Yep.
So then
But
you would agree there's a principle of obligation that we should always believe the one true God.
Well, the point is that you
Wait.
that you...
Is that not true? Is that not what you're appealing to?
No. The point I'm making...
Wait a minute. Wait. You're not appealing to the very argument you're using?
No. You're asking me if that was the argument that I'm using. I'm saying it's not, and then trying to...
You said if the one true God appealed. I said, how would I know? Well, then we got into utter discussion. I told you, if it were the one true God, I'm obligated to believe in the one true God.
Okay.
That would be the one true God. And you agreed. That means you agree there's a principle that we ought to believe the one true God.
If a God exists, yes.
Yeah, well, you
Wait,
said.
you just said that's who you are.
Yeah, you said. You're taking a position.
The point of this hypothetical is you now have to justify why you believe in your God when I've just stated that he is not the one true God.
Why would
What
I want to
makes
do
you
that
so
if the one-
sure
Wait,
that your God is the one true God?
Yes. Why would I do that if the one true God came in? Why would I? Are you saying that the one true God reveals himself and I still choose to not believe in him? And now you want me to justify
So,
why I do that?
if a being
Chaz,
came to you...
stop for a second. What you're doing is you're saying, the one true God appears, I don't believe him, I have to justify why I don't believe in the one true God. That's
That you don't believe that that being that came to you and said, they're the one true God, is the one true God.
You realize what you're asking?
Yes, I do. I just don't think you do.
I don't think so. You want me to argue why I would continue to not believe in the one true God if the one true God appeared.
What I want you to do is to justify, if a being came to you and said, I'm the one true God, yeah, and the God you believe in, yeah, is not the one true God, yeah,
then I'm
how would you
obligated to
justify
believe
that?
in the one true God.
Well, how would you tell the difference between them? Me saying I'm God and the God of the Bible saying he's God. How do you tell the difference between
You're
them?
the one who said he revealed himself as the one true God.
No, that's what you say about your God.
Okay, we're going in circles. This isn't working. Look, I work with what you say, then you move the goalposts.
I'm not moving the goalposts. I'm just trying to explain where the goalposts are.
Really? So,
you seem to be
the one true God...
How do you justify your God as being the one true God? It's a simple enough question.
Why don't you just ask me that one? How do I justify that the God of Christianity is the right one? That's what you want me to do.
Yep.
Oh.
But there is a reason why I frame it in this thought experiment. Because you can't just say the Bible claims.
I can't? Wait. The Bible claims it reveals the one true God. I can say that. Notice you said I couldn't say that. I just did.
Argument.
I'm sorry, what?
That's not a great argument.
Wait a minute.
Kellogg's say they make the best cereal. Does that mean they make the best cereal?
Chaz, you're not thinking, buddy. You said, I can't say it. I did say it. Then you said, that's not a good argument. I didn't say it was an argument.
And Hitler made great arguments for why Jews should be killed, and people followed him, so great arguments aren't necessarily the right thing to follow either, are they?
Chaz?
No, he made arguments, doesn't necessarily make great arguments.
You're not being logical. You're not thinking these things through.
Oh, no,
I'm
I am.
showing you.
Okay. How can you know that the God of the Bible is the one true God?
Because he revealed himself to me.
How did he reveal himself to you?
On my knees when I was 17 years old, the very presence of the holy being of the universe came to me in such a way that I had no other option but to acknowledge and believe who he was.
How do you know that wasn't a deceiving spirit? How do you know that that wasn't Satan?
Because he revealed himself to me in such a way that I knew that he was the only true living God.
But couldn't Satan also do that? Couldn't Satan also trick you? It says in the Bible that Satan tricks people. God sends spirits to deceive prophets. How do you know that you weren't deceived?
Were you listening earlier when we went to the issue of the transcendentals and the laws of logic and the consistency of the mind and the abstract concepts? Were you listening?
I was listening, but I'm asking you that question.
Then that's my answer. It applies here as well. I already went over it. I'd suggest you get the podcast, listen to the first issue in the argument on the transcendentals that I went over with Mike, and you can study that, because that'd be my response. The nature of the transcendental laws of logic are abstractions and transcendental and they're absolute. They cannot emanate from a mind that is a lying mind. Only the Christian worldview can provide the necessary preconditions for intelligibility by positing an absolute transcendent mind who does not lie. That is consistent with Christianity.
Okay, but Matt, can I ask you a question?
You just did.
Okay, can I ask you another one after this one?
Yes.
Does Satan deceive people?
Yes, he does, because you're deceived.
Okay. And is it possible, that the person you believe came to you as God could have been Satan? coming
Nope.
to you to
Not
deceive you.
possible.
How's that not possible?
Because it's not. I know.
How would you know?
I know.
You just know. That's it. You just get to claim, I know.
Yes, I can. Watch. Ready? I know.
But that's not an argument. You don't have any
I didn't
evidence
say it was an
to
argument, now did I?
provide
You
your
asked me.
claim.
You asked me how I know. I told you I know because I know. That's it. I had an experience of God.
Okay, how do you differentiate
I don't.
that experience from a false experience? How do you differentiate a being claiming that it's God to you from being God
I'm
and
not
being,
here. What, Chaz? I'm not here to justify my experiences to you. I'm not here to justify every single thing I say to you. What you are doing and all you're doing is asking a question about everything I respond to. That's all it is your technique is. You probably learned it from someone like...
you a question.
Let me finish. You probably learned it from someone like Dillahanty. He
No.
doesn't... Let me finish.
I think he's a bit of a ponce.
Okay. All you're doing is questioning. How do you know this? How do you know that? How do you know this? How do you know that? How do you know? How do you know? And I get to the point and I say, I know because I know. How do I know? I know because I know. What do you want me to do beyond that?
So essentially, Matt Slick, your point boils down to that you had an experience, yeah, that you know is God just because you know. You have no evidence or justification outside of what is essentially just an assertion.
Chaz, the evidence was the experience I had.
But how do you differentiate that from a false experience? You could hallucinate.
Because it wasn't false, it was true.
How do you know? A hallucination appears real.
Because I knew it was true.
You knew it was true?
Yes.
How did you know that it was true?
Chaz, are you married?
Yes.
Do you love your wife?
Yes.
How do I know you love your wife? How do you know you're not deceived, you're not self-deceived about loving your wife? How do you know? Come on, tell me.
I could be. That's the thing. I'm willing to accept.
So you are saying, does your wife know that you might not really love her? You're saying that you could be deceived about loving your own wife?
Yeah. I'm a fallible being. I can be wrong.
Wait a minute. Wait. So define for me what love is.
Emotional pair bonding between two organisms.
So you don't know if you even have that with your own wife?
I assume that I do.
So you assume, Chaz, but you don't really know. Have you told your wife this?
Yes, we've had this same conversation before. You see, a lot of you try and go to this one for, I don't know, some sort of shock value. I don't know. But here's the thing. You say you had an experience. You don't know whether or not that experience was real. You don't have any justification. Of course not, because you don't have anything.
Chaz, stop. All I can do is tell you what I've already told you. I can't go beyond it.
Which is that you had an experience, you believe was true, but you have no justification for it being true.
Can you mute him? Can you mute him?
Yeah, he'll mute himself.
Mute. Just, keep quiet for a second, Chaz. Look, I'm not here to justify every detail of my experiences with my Lord and my Savior. I don't answer to you. What you're actually asking me to do is move outside of my own experience realm, outside the realm of God, and know all things to know that it was a true God. What you're actually asking is the impossible. Do you realize that that's what you're doing? The best you atheists have, the very best that you have, is to ask me to do the impossible, and then say, because you can't do the impossible, Matt, see, I can't believe in your Christianity. Do you see the ridiculous position that you're requiring?
I'll demonstrate it for Chaz. Chaz, have you ever had an experience that you know to be true?
No, I have experiences I assume to be true. As I said, I'm a fallible being. I can be wrong. I can be misled. My brain can misinterpret information.
Chaz, okay, answer the question. Have you ever had an experience you know is true?
No, as I said, I have experiences I assume to be true.
What about the experience you just had about answering answering the question? Was that true or not true?
I'm not sure he was ever here, We'll go to Gary Hall now. Gary's back. Last discussion with Matt Slick. We talked about abortion. And I think he's probably going to bring up morality this time.
Talk about abortion too. What?
No, I want to talk to him about gay marriage.
Gay marriage it is. What do you want to talk about?
Okay, why are you against it? Because again, it's all about
Because God says it's wrong.
Where does he say it's wrong?
Why?
No, where?
Because he says a man will join to a woman and the two become one flesh. That's how marriage is defined in the scripture. And homosexual marriage is never included. And arsenic koitos is the word used for male bedders. Arsenic koitos. Koitos, coital relations, sexual religion, man bedders, homosexuals. Those are the ones who do not inherit the kingdom of God, along with perjurers and liars and thieves. So homosexuality is absolutely condemned in Scripture.
Okay, so I don't believe it is, but we'll just
wait! I just showed you it was.
I don't believe it is, but again, and here's why: because that just one passage is not equated to where Jesus says that. I mean, I like the fact that you go to the Old Testament rather than the New One.
I went to both. I went to the New Testament, 1 Corinthians 6:9. Arsenic koitos
okay, so
is
go
Greek.
to the Apostle Paul now. So you believe that Paul?
And I also said Jesus said a man would join to his wife, one flesh. I went to Christ first.
Okay, no, you went to Paul first. Paul's Jesus is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Everything.
No, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is Jesus.
Really? Oh, that's good. Okay, good.
You know, and I'm just asking you here, why are you against civil rights for gay people?
Wait. Who says it's a civil right?
It's a civil rights issue.
Just believe in their propaganda. That's all.
No, it's a civil rights issue.
No, it's not. It's a moral issue.
It is. No, it's
a
civil
moral
rights issue. No, it isn't.
If you're going to ask me about my Christian faith, I'm going to give you a Christian answer. For you to say it's a civil rights is nothing more than you joining hands with the propagandists, believing that it is something that is natural to the individual. Have you ever done any research on twins studies? On homosexuals and twins?
Homosexuality is natural.
Okay, I've got a question for you. Is lying natural?
Is lying natural?
Yeah.
As it's part of the human condition, I'd imagine so.
Is it natural, yes, or is it natural, not yes?
It's natural as it's part of the human condition, yes.
Okay, so then it's okay to do, right?
No.
Wait a minute. Are you inconsistent? Homosexuality is natural, that's okay, but lying is natural, but it's not okay.
Well, you can't compare the two. One's a sexual behavior. One is a sexual behavior. Is a personal
Homosexuality is a behavior. I have an orientation to lie. I just choose not to.
Okay, but again, you can't choose who you're attracted to.
Yes, I can.
Okay. No, you cannot.
Hey, are you denying men have free will?
Dude, I have the ability to actually condition myself to be attracted to different women. My wife happens to be nice looking, and I'll tell you, over the years I've conditioned myself to love her and be attracted to her more and more and more. I've done it on purpose. Don't tell me I can't do that.
Okay, but they're not attracted to women, they're attracted to other men.
Sorry, what?
They're not attracted. Gay people, gay men, homosexual men are attracted to other men. They're not attracted to women.
So
that's the person that they want to be. That they love.
Is that moral? Is that a moral issue then?
No, it's a civil rights issue.
Wait a minute, why? Gary, let me jump in here. Wow. The man who's attracted to little girls, is that
civil rights?
Is that civil rights?
No, because it's about consent.
Oh, because
no,
what?
Why?
Consent.
Because that little girl cannot consent. An adult can.
Oh, a 17-year-old girl can't consent?
It depends where you're looking about. In the UK, yes. In America, no.
16? Oh.
You don't know about
geographic location means
there are countries in the world where they allow children to consent. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Hey Gary, you said that people have no choice in the matter. Do you deny libertarian free will or contra
No.
causal
They
free
have free
will?
will. They have free will,
But
but they cannot
well,
choose who they are who they are attracted to.
so they have it, but they don't have it.
No, again, if they choose to act on it, like for example, I'm straight.
Well,
I'm currently thinking.
do you know what libertarian free will is?
Yes, and I'm
Okay,
just
what is it?
I'm saying that acting upon it is the problem, right? Like for example, I'm currently straight, but I'm not in a relationship at the moment. But that's what I'm attracted to. I'm attracted to ladies. Now if they're a lesbian, they're attracted to other women. If they're homosexual, they're attracted to men. If they're bisexual, they're attracted to both. Again, and I'm yet to hear an argument about why it's not natural. Again, I'm going to put this point. The point that it's against the civil whatever is against the it's the same argument was used against interracial marriage, and the and that is a problem. Would you not agree? Because like these people cannot choose who they love; they just love somebody.
So love makes it okay?
But love makes it okay. Well, if they're consenting adults, sure. As long as no one's being forced into it.
Why is consent the standard?
Why is consent the standard? Because we shouldn't force people to love each other who do not. And I think if you're forcing somebody...
You're begging the question. You just said we should not. And that's my question. Why shouldn't we? By what standard are you appealing to consent? And this time, if you could not beg the question, that would be great.
What do you mean? Sorry, I really need you to reiterate that for me. My brain's not quite working. So basically, you're asking me.
I asked you why consent is a standard. It's like, and you said, well, someone should offer consent. Someone has to give consent. So you just beg the question. You just beg the question into your premise. What I'm asking you is, by what standard do you set consent as the standard?
Why is it the standard? Because that's the way that we determine sexual activity or relationship activity. That somebody has to consent to be in that relationship. Otherwise, you've sexually assaulted them.
Gary, he's asking you why. Restate it. He's asking you why.
Right.
Why?
The why.
Because morally, we've decided between us as a species that is the standard that we set for somebody's sexual acceptance.
All right, let's look at that.
Okay. Thank you.
Gary,
Thank you. We just got there.
Len, Gary, what is the age of consent?
It depends in which country you live. like I live in the UK.
Right, so it's an ever moving goalpost. It's an ever moving standard. So if society, listen, Gary,
it's determined by a number of factors.
Gary, slow your roll here. If society as a whole determined that the age of consent was 4 because a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, their first word is yes, would that then make it right?
No.
Why not?
By what standard?
Because a 4-year-old cannot understand what sex is, no matter consent to it.
How do you know that? Are you a child psychologist?
Well, even if
are you a pediatric neuropsychologist? Do you know these things?
No, but I have read them.
Well, even if he was, if there was
what pediatric neuropsychologists have you read, or what journals have you read, Gary?
Well, you might not know this about me, but I have done psychology courses. And one of them was on child psychology, and especially the idea of consent and how it develops in the brain and how we determine the age of consent. Now, we have determined it upon a couple of factors, which again, you were asking me a question, and I'll try and answer it. It's depending on maturity, because even people who are above the age of consent may not be able to give consent because, again, it depends on the maturity of the person, because just because you're at the age of consent doesn't mean you're in the right mind to consent. So again, it's just a litmus test. It's just as a placeholder. So it's a general rule. It doesn't mean that if you have sex with somebody and they're over the age of consent that you can't still be in trouble as a statutory rapist. It's all about, maturity, willingness to consent, that sort of stuff. There are a number of factors.
So why do we go by age and not by level of maturity? Why doesn't everyone have to take some kind of a cognitive test to determine their level of maturation before they have sex?
Because we decided that developmental age is the right age that people are aware of their sexual identity and aware of their sexual fluidity enough to consent. Okay, but it's not addressing what my point is that what's the problem with a homosexual man deciding that he wants to sleep with another man? Just because you're against it because you think it's icky?
Yes, that's why. Because it's icky. It's icky. Don't be stupid, dude. Come on now. Have any of us ever said anything that resembles something close to that?
No, I'm just trying you to. I was will you to give me a good reason why you're against gay marriage.
Is the Bible a sufficient? Is the Bible a sufficient reason?
Yes, but it's not against gay marriage because he doesn't say anything about it. Did Jesus, the person we're supposed to follow,
do you have a Bible? Do you have a Bible next to you, my Quaker friend?
Yes, I do.
Turn to Matthew 19:4.
19:4.
Because I know you prefer the words of Jesus over Paul.
19:4, did you say?
Please read it for everybody.
Why don't we ask Gary how does the Bible define marriage?
And he answered unto them, have you not read that he who made them in the beginning made them male and female? So
is that what the whole passage says?
No, actually the entire chapter talks about divorce, but again we'll go. Talking about that.
Is that the whole verse? Did you read the whole verse, Gary?
Oh, you want to read more, do you? I see. Here we go.
There's a guy who loves the scripture.
No, I do love the scripture. I just don't like being.
No, you don't. You hate it.
No,
you're an idolater, Gary. You're a universalist. You're against the Bible. You're against the very words of Jesus, which we're about to demonstrate right now.
Okay, so whereabouts do you want me to keep? Do you want me to read from above it, where it talks about the Pharisees came unto him, tempted away, and saying unto him, it is not lawful that a man put away his wife for every cause. And he answered them, saying to them, have you not read that in the beginning he made them male and female? And he said, for cause a man leave his father and mother, but shall cleave to his wife, they shall be twain but one flesh. Where they are.
So what is that one flesh talking about there?
Talking about marriage and how we become.
Oh, okay. And what book of the Bible might Jesus be appealing to right there? What other book of the Bible uses that language?
Probably the book. It was talked about the book of Genesis to talk about. To discuss the idea of divorce.
Right. So because God told Adam and Eve to do what? To multiply, to fill the earth. The dominion mandate of mankind can only be fulfilled through a male and female marriage, through male and female relationships.
No.
That's why, Gary. That's why the Bible is against it. Now. You say what you want. You can justify it all you want. You know, I'll just.
But you do know that lesbian couples and gay couples can now have children.
Sure.
Okay. Now, and are actually good parents.
Define good.
They had children. What?
Yeah. What? How did they have children, Gary?
Lesbians can have children through a sperm donor.
Actually, there would be more than two people involved.
Homosexual male is usually
they're not doing it of their own. They're not doing it of nature's capabilities. They're using an interventional method, but they're not doing it themselves because a woman can't produce sperm, can she? So a woman can produce sperm.
Maybe he's looking that up.
No, what they use is a sperm donor, which again, which means you must be against infertile men as well who do the same thing in straight relationships. they use that, and also what the gay people do, that they use somebody who bees their incubator, basically bees the mother of their child, and they usually agree to do this. And again, this, you've yet to say why this is natural when it happens in straight couples as well, and they use pretty good kits.
Are
Again,
there good kids?
you got to show me that, again, gay people on the majority are bad parents.
Every single one of your arguments is ridiculous. If a pedophile raises a good kid, does that make pedophilia okay? Do you realize that the level of argumentation you're using?
So
you're here to talk to Matt Slick, though. So Matt, why don't you jump back in?
We're done slapping Gary. Last time he was on, he slapped himself, but
yeah, because I thought we were going to be adults, but apparently not.
Well, Gary, are you being serious right now? You're the one who asked, "Do you think homosexuals are icky?" And now you're going to challenge our adulthood?
Yeah, because again, because you.
Goodbye. All right, who's next?
We've got.
I think this Che dude. He came in shortly after Gary, didn't he?
Well, that was entertaining, wasn't
it? Me and that dude have gone around and around so many times. He was
one of the first guys hangouts. It was a couple years ago. You're in a hangout with a whole bunch of unbelievers, and Gary was there, who's a universalist. He denies many aspects of Scripture, and he was cussing. Yeah. And you were like calling him out. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
He was cussing, and that was like the first time you were in a hangout with him. But
Matt, let me ask in all seriousness, Matt, is my appeal to Matthew 19:4 and 5, is that an appropriate?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Why is it appropriate, though? Let's see. It's appropriate because what is Jesus appealing to there?
His creation mandate, I believe, him being the creator and him telling Adam and Eve the very words that he quoted.
Well, you're right to appeal to the creation mandate. On Matthew 19, he answered, have you not read, he was created them from the beginning, male and female. If God is the creator, he's going to do things the way he wants because it's the right way, male and female. This reason a man shall leave his mother, etc. That is a quote that Jesus is giving, authenticating the words of Moses in Genesis by then describing the proper created order of the marriage arrangement. And you are also correct in the dominion mandate cannot be fulfilled in homosexuality. Then what he did was say, well, yes, but they can have children now. Don't you know that? I mean, they have children by borrowing the sperm and the eggs from different people, proving the homosexuality thing doesn't work. So you're right. Good stuff. You nailed it.
Can I ask a real quick question before you go to the next person?
You just did.
Okay, can I ask another quick question after this one?
Just did.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Unboot that guy.
Yeah.
Actually, he's totally cool. I like him. He's all right.
Yeah. But real quick, I often hear homosexuals and pro homosexuals use the argument of Sodom and Gomorrah. They'll say things like God judged those cities because of inhospitality. I'm just curious what you guys' responses to that. Go ahead.
Inhospitality?
Yeah, they were inhospitable. I've heard that argument before.
Yeah. I'd say, no, let me get this straight. So what you're saying to me is that people just weren't nice. And so God wiped them all out because they just weren't being nice to somebody else. That's what you're saying?
Because Lot wouldn't offer him sweet tea.
That's right.
So God wiped them out.
That's your argument. It was about hospitality. You know, a couple of guys, they didn't give me some tea. Destroy them, God. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a stupid argument.
Yeah. So where did they get the inhospitality thing from? I heard it somewhere in
their butt.
No pun intended.
I was saying that, but I was thinking that. I wasn't saying it, but I was thinking that. But I thought I'd be more sanctified than somebody in here. But...
Apply for the Bible Thumping Wingnut co-host at actually looking for a replacement.
Yeah, I was thinking it, so.
I'm sorry, I had a drill sergeant that said, I'm going to put my foot in your fifth point of contact. So they pull it out of their fifth point of contact. So
that's what they call it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Military terminology.
Fifth point of contact. Okay, I don't know what the other four are, but okay.
Hands and feet.
So based on that position, what argument, where do they go to in Scripture, or what have you heard?
That's what I've heard.
Okay, so
and you know, it's because what was it? There's an argument you could derive out of it from the text. It's been a while since I've looked at the text, but you can derive it out of it by looking and saying and focusing on certain things that are minor, not the major.
I actually know what it is.
What is it?
So this isn't my question, I hope. You guys can hear me okay? Okay. Yeah. So there's a parallel story similar to the Sodom and Gomorrah story in Judges, where the Levite takes his concubine and because she remember that one? You know that one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying that this is true or not. I'm just telling you what their argument is. When he goes to what is it, the elders or whatever, and he explains to them what the Benjamites were going to do to him, he says, because they were going to do the same thing, remember they said, bring him out that we may know him, and when he explains what they were going to do, he doesn't say anything about intercourse or homosexuality. He talks about they were going to kill him. In addition to that, I think it's in Ezekiel.
But to know means sex.
Not in every. Well, that's the argument, is that not in every context, because there's situations where Yahweh refers when he talks about Moses, and he says, he is the only one I know. And
wait a minute, wait. Now you're committing a fallacy called illegitimate.
I'm not committing anything. I'm telling you the argument they give me. I'm telling you.
Oh, that argument commits a fallacy called illegitimate totality transfer. A word has a semantic domain. It has a range of usages and meanings in different contexts, and they transport the context over to different context. Mm-hmm. And so that's what all that is. When it says, bring the men out so that we may know them, right. And they have to be protected from the. We know what the context is. When I said on my wedding wife, I really got to know my wife, if you know what I mean. We know what that means.
And Veckel posted over here what I was going to say in Ezekiel. He posted it, behold, this was the guilt of your sister Sodom. He and her daughters had pride, excess of food, and prosperous ease, but did not aid the poor and needy. Never in Ezekiel does it talk about homosexuality or rape.
It does say in Genesis 13:13, interesting, 13:13, now the men of Sodom were wicked exceedingly and sinners against the Lord. Now,
right.
That's not hospitality. That's not hospitality.
No, totally, but that's the argument. It's the Ezekiel one, and then the parallel in Judges.
I thought I had something written on that.
So, is it okay if I ask my question now?
Sure.
Okay, so I watch these shows all the time. I'm a big fan, really. And
you're an atheist? Are you an atheist?
Yeah, I'm pretty reluctant, though.
A reluctant atheist. That'd be a good name for you. You'd find a reluctant atheist.
But I've had this question for you because I live in Portland, and I was there for when you debated Dan Barker, and he asked you a question. He said, and I see this argument on morality getting tied up in definitions, in that nobody's really agreeing upon a definition of what they're talking about when they're talking about morality. And I also see what's happening is that you're using as synonyms. Not I'm saying you as in everybody.
Right.
Here.
No, I got you.
You're using as synonyms good, bad, right, and wrong. When I don't think that when you're going to argue these things, those are very productive. The reason is it can be applied to morality, whether it's good, bad, right, or wrong. For example, in your, like in your argument when you say, is it ever? That's all right. Is it? What's the one about torturing babies? Is it ever?
Is it always wrong?
Is it always wrong? Yeah. Well, you could say, because the reason you can actually say, no, it's not always wrong. The reason is, if your goal is to cause the most terrible thing to happen to children, it's the right thing to do, right? That's why when I see that argument,
that will bite them in the foot, because what they're saying is that the morality is dependent upon the individual, and then when we say that God is morally right and that morality is a revelation of His own character, then that's the same argument, just in a different wording.
No, exactly, and I think that that's actually a problem. I think it's actually a problem. The reason is
for who?
For the argument, just for clarification, in that since neither side, like you have a definition of morality, and then your opponent will have a definition of morality. The actions you're talking about apply to both definitions, but when you're not agreeing on what that definition is, you can both say, well, why is that moral? Why is that moral? Like, for example, if your definition of morality was following the laws of God or following the rules of God, let's just say, morality in that case would be synonymous with obedience, right?
No.
No? What would it be? You don't think that
morality would be? We would say in Christianity, we'd say that morality is consistent. Well, let me back up a little bit. I think you're onto something here. I think seriously. I think the idea of defining what morality is, it's a good discussion to hold.
You see what I'm saying, though, right? You understand what?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And you're actually intriguing me a little bit, and I'm already starting to get an idea for an article to write on CARM in response to it. So kudos to you. And you got me thinking right away. So good stuff. Seriously, not patronizing, but like, yeah. So I'm sitting there writing notes.
So you know, if you use it in an article, you owe me some money.
What's that?
If you use it in an article, you owe me some money.
Okay. Well, I'll just okay. To have morals, we need standards to have right and wrong. Otherwise, there's no morals. It's like saying something is left and right.
Right. No, I agree.
Left and right of what? Left and right of, well, in this case, an object, or we'll just say the center. So without a standard, there are no morals. Mm-hmm. And when you said, why is that moral? That's a good question. Because the standard is God, and it is right or wrong compared to God's nature.
But I don't think it's even necessarily the standard. Like,
why not?
Okay, here's how I would address the argument. From the very beginning, I would say, when you say the word moral, morality, morals, what are you talking about? And let's try to come to an agreement on what that word is being used as a, to define, to talk about the concept, right? We have a concept, we have a shortcut word being morals. What is that concept? And that's where I think it has to start, because otherwise you're kind of talking past each other.
Well, I'm with you on that. And you're not probably necessarily like this, but I'm gonna stick by this.
That's all right.
As you're going. So I'm enjoying this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That which is coincident. Okay, I would say that true morality reflects the character of God.
Okay.
That which is morally good is that which is consistent with God's nature.
Okay. But if you're talking to somebody who doesn't already presuppose a God, you're not talking about the same thing anymore.
You're right, we're not. But the thing is, you're right, we would not be talking about the same thing if I were talking to an atheist. But right. The morality of an atheist would have to be subjective, where my morality would have to be objective. And when I ask them a question like, is it always wrong to torture babies, so that's merely for one's personal pleasure? And if they say yes, then they're appealing to an objective standard because of the universal quality of it. But they can't do that in their own worldview. So I would say that my worldview is the only worldview that's on the table that is internally consistent and therefore justifies the definition itself.
This is why I disagree. Because I've noticed a lot of times when you're talking to atheists, when you're talking to other atheists about morality, they actually do have a definition, and it has to do usually with well-being, harm, right? Do you agree with that? Like, usually. Yeah. So they do have a definition, and it can almost be objective in that if this action that you're calling
There's a problem though. When they say that, for example, they say that which harms somebody is wrong. Well, I say, well, why is that the right standard?
no, that's why I would avoid the word wrong. That's why I would avoid the word wrong. I would use just the
We're
word
not
moral.
talking about morality, are we?
Yeah, we are. Because is it okay? Well, here, this is how what I'm talking about. Is it right or wrong to be moral?
I got to think about that question. Hold on.
Right. Yeah, because right
Is
or
it
wrong
right or
applies to
wrong?
moral. Let
Is
me.
it right? Wait. No. Hold
Okay,
on.
go ahead.
Hold on. Is it right or wrong to be moral?
As opposed to immoral?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's what-
sure.
Is it right or wrong to be? It is morally right to be morally right.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, it's a gimmick.
Can I offer maybe a way to clarify? So when we talk about morality, in my opinion, okay, so this is my opinion, and I'm only getting this from watching you and other people argue morality. You know, like I'm noticing, since I'm watching from the outside, I kind of notice these little glitches and stuff in the conversation. So you have morality. Morality has to do with specific actions, right? I mean, in a very loose definition, actions and their intentions. Okay, right or wrong has to do. It's contingent upon your goals, right? Right or wrong.
No, I wouldn't necessarily say that that's the case because, well, yes and no. You're saying a goal, but that's an attitude. You know, if my goal when I punch you in the head is to harm you, then that's wrong. But if it's I punch you in the head to get you out of the way of that bullet, then that's right.
But what if my goal is to hurt you?
Yeah, the goal is.
What if my goal is to what if my goal is to blacken your eye? Is it the right thing to punch you in the eye?
Depends on the context.
Right. That's what, no. My only context is I want to blacken you. I want to hurt you. I want to hurt you. I want to blacken you. And by hurting you, my goal is to blacken your eye.
Well, as a Christian, I could say no, that's wrong.
Well, no, but right, because
and I could justify it. You couldn't from your atheist perspective.
No, because the right thing to do is hit you in the eye. I'm not saying it's the moral thing. It's not the moral thing.
Well, right morally?
No. Right, exactly. This is where everything gets confusing.
Yeah, I think no disrespect meant, I think your perspective leads you necessarily to confusion. Mine does not.
Well, I'm not even talking about my perspective necessarily. I'm talking about clarifying the argument.
But we can't clarify. You can't clarify without a standard, without a definition. You see, I have a standard.
That's why we don't need to use. That's why it's almost confusing to use right, wrong, good, bad when you can only when it's more. When it's easier.
But what you're advocating right there is to have no right or wrong.
The problem he's having is from an atheist perspective. The atheist can't make sense of should or ought, and he's trying to articulate.
Well, sure I can. Because should or ought depends again on what your intentions are.
Why?
Okay, let me give you an example that doesn't have to do with morality.
How do you get a should? You should have intentions, or we should pay attention to someone's intentions. Why ought we do that?
Well, that depends on your personal desires and your.
Why does it depend on desires?
Because that's how you decide what you want to do.
So a person with a desire should do anything that he desires.
Say that again.
A person who desires something from an atheist perspective, there is no wrong or right. They have a desire.
Yeah, there is. Let me give you an example. Here's an example I can use that will, and it's not about morality. It's about travel, but it will make sense of what I'm trying to say. Is it right or wrong to go north on I-5?
It's neither.
Right, exactly. Because you have to know what your destination is.
That's right. And from an atheist perspective, there is no destination. Without God, there's no purpose. There's no goal.
I see what you're saying.
There's no destination.
Okay, then that's why I go back to otherwise you're using right, wrong, good, bad, moral, immoral synonymous with obedience. Yeah? No, I'm kind of asking. I'm more asking than I'm more asking than trying to tell you something. I'm trying to clarify the argument for it to make sense to me, because it seems like from the Christian standpoint, all you're really trying to do is obey God. In which case, you could almost switch out the word morality with obedience. Either you're being obedient to God, or you're being disobedient to God.
That's true.
I don't necessarily have a problem with that.
Right. Okay. But I do, and
Based on, I mean, where would you have any foundation to disagree?
I beg your pardon? I didn't really understand what that meant.
How would you have any foundation to disagree?
On what?
Should or ought?
Well, that's the thing, is that what's happening is you're using morality as evidence for God, but you're having to assume, like it's circular, you're having to assume God for something to be moral.
Right.
Can
Yep.
I say something real quick?
Okay.
I want to say something.
That's fine. That's fine. You just said that you can't have morals without God. Okay.
No, right. If you're using morals synonymous with obedience, then you're right. Then I cannot have any morals. What I'm saying is, if we're having a conversation about morals and morality, it's important that we agree upon a definition to even have the conversation. Otherwise, we're talking past each other. We're talking about two totally different things.
Well, good. I think we made some progress there. Hey, if you want to say to be moral, you need to be obedient to God. Yes.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying to be moral, you've got to be obedient to God. I'm saying moral means obedience to God, right? Obedience to God and being moral mean the exact same thing from a Christian standpoint.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to say something. I just want to say something to the chat here. Hogtie, I've been trying to talk to you about this for a while, and because I think I like how you argue, and I wanted to run some things by you. I actually wanted to run some things by Hogtie because I think we're kind of on the same page. Before I came into this chat, because I'm not really a very good speaker.
Tim, do you mind? And I don't want to interrupt the show, but can I give him 20 seconds worth of advice? Through some weirdness with the Google Plus and YouTube, when they first did their whole merging thing, I have two accounts named Hogtie. A number of people complain about this. I'm hard to contact.
Okay.
If you see one of the comments that I've actually posted, click on the name, the Hogtie Champ name, and circle friend, whatever it's called now. Circle that guy. The other one, I don't check the messages often enough, and I apologize for that. I will go to the other account and look for your message if you tried to contact me.
Well, I tried to contact you through. I think it was through. What's her name? She's always. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we can talk about it later. Let's not derail.
Talk about it. Talk about it in the chat.
No, I appreciate you guys letting me talk. I've been wanting to talk to Matt. Like I said, I listen to his show. I listen to your shows, Matt, all the time.
Radio?
Yeah, well, I listen on the podcast.
Good for you.
I watch these Google Hangouts and stuff.
I want to say
in Christianity, but
I want to say I liked what you were saying, and I got some notes here, so I may develop an argument or a paper response ultimately. But I'll just say, I think that you're arguing in circles, that you're intellectually hamstrung. I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm saying your position.
You wouldn't be the first.
What?
You wouldn't be the first to say I'm stupid.
No, you're not. But you're an intelligent guy, and you're articulate.
Did you hear what I said to Tim though about it being the equivalent, synonymous with obedience from the Christian?
No, morality is not synonymous with obedience. They're different words.
Right, but Tim was saying. I think Tim was saying that they are synonymous.
No. We ought to be obedient to the moral laws of God. There's a differentiation between obedience. We ought to. And somebody, I forgot who mentioned it, but the atheist cannot connect the issue of why we ought to do something. Why an action has an ought can account for oughts in any universal sense.
Well, even this is what I'm saying, and this is how I would address that. The ought has to do with what your goal is, what that action is trying to do.
Why is that goal the right goal? You're begging the question.
No, that's right, because that's where right and wrong comes in.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! But what you're doing is you're saying I'm going to, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, but kind of. You're going to say I'm arbitrarily going to assign a value to a goal, and that's what the goal is. So therefore, that's the moral standard. It's begging the
No,
question.
no, it's not a moral standard. It's not a moral standard.
Okay, it's a moral objective by which you're going to say something is right or wrong, but you have to have a standard, left and right, of center. You have to have that center in order to say something is right or wrong. It's a moral issue. If you're going to say there is no standard, then you have no morals.
No, that's where I'm getting. That's where. See, again, this is where we're getting all tied up. Right and wrong has to do with what your intentions are. Do you agree with that?
Well, from my perspective, I would say right and wrong had to do with the will of God.
Right.
You would say they had to do with your intention, and I'd say, tell me why that is the right standard and why that's the right requirement.
It's not a standard at all. It's not a standard.
Well, then it's subjective to you only?
Whether something's right or wrong? No, they're contingent. This is what I was.
Leads to subjectivity in this area.
Right. They're subjective. No, they're subjective in the sense that they depend upon. This is why I was trying to separate these words here: moral, immoral. Right. Moral and immoral. Right and wrong. Good and bad. Good and bad are total. Bad is subjective. Right and wrong is contingent. Moral and immoral is objective. Depending on what your definition of moral is, and that's where everything gets tied up. Is that your definition of morality?
You still have to have a standard by which you can judge something as morally right or morally wrong.
No, I just need to have a definition. I just need to have a definition of
what. Is the definition the right definition? Because if you're going to say it's right or not right, you still need a standard to do that. If you say the standard is not right or not wrong, then it's arbitrary.
The standard is not right or wrong. Yeah.
If you're going to give a definition that's arbitrary, then you can't use it as a standard. But if you say that it is a standard, what justifies your standard from your atheistic perspective? It can only be subjective. Either way, you lose. You lose the intellectual traction here.
No, but that I agree with you. I agree with you if we were, if I was taking your definition of morality.
Look, all I know is I'm right and you're wrong.
Okay, you win.
We see, I meant that for a joke, and I'm glad you laughed. But there's some truth in it, because if it's subjective, then I can make up any rule set that I want and say I define it the way I want to define it. You see the problem?
Yeah, because your definition. It's because of your definition.
But if definitions are what we go by, then whose definition is the right one? Then we need a standard for that. That's what I was saying.
Okay. Right. Okay, perfect. So when you enter into a conversation, isn't the most important thing with a conversation so serious, or serious to us, of course, nerds, that we agree upon the definition?
Well, unless you're talking to my wife about some issues, but yeah, normally yes.
Right. So that's why people are that's why we end up talking past each other in these conversations. We're talking about two different.
I agree that that's a principle that we need to adhere to, because you and I agree that certain words have certain meanings, which is why we're able to disagree, because we have a standard of agreement on words, and then we're disagreeing about what those word sentences lead to. So we presuppose a standard. Even a definition has to have a standard. If I were to define an atheist as all people whose IQ are below 80, does that mean it's right? But I could just say, well, that's a standard that is true. It doesn't mean it's true.
But if you and I are going to have a conversation about atheists, and we agree that that's the definition, now we can move forward with the definition. Now we can move the conversation.
Okay, and if we were to do that, then that definition will be falsifiable.
No, because the definition is what we agree upon.
Yeah, but is the definition right or is it wrong? Because we could falsify that definition.
It's not right or wrong. It's a concept that we've agreed upon.
Yes, it is. Put your hand in front of your face.
No. It doesn't matter what the word is. It doesn't matter what the word is. It's the concept.
I understand that. That's what definition is.
Right.
But certain definitions are falsifiable. All atheists have an IQ of under 80. That's what we define atheism to be.
Well, that's not a definition at all. That's.
You just said it was.
No. All day. No, the definition would be atheists are people with an IQ under 80.
Yes, that's what we
Right.
yeah, earlier said that.
You
And
said it
that atheist definition, a definition, happens to be falsifiable
How's that?
because we can find atheists with an IQ of at least 81.
Well, then they wouldn't fit that definition, wouldn't they?
Right, then they wouldn't be atheists, right?
Well, they wouldn't fit that definition of what we've agreed was atheist.
Then the definition wouldn't be the right one. You see? Just because we agree on it.
No, because now you're saying the definition. No. Let me.
Because morals have to have a standard before we can know what's.
No, let me say. Okay. If we agree that a car is a vehicle with two wheels, we agree that that's the definition.
Yeah,
and we agree that when we say car, we're talking about vehicles with two wheels, even though we've in the past had a definition of a car with four wheels.
I understand what you're saying.
For this conversation, these cars.
I understand what you're saying, but now what we're doing is talking about nothing.
No. We're agreeing upon a concept, and we're using a shortcut word for it.
We're not moving forward.
Yeah, we're not moving forward anymore. I think, like you're right. I need to work on it a little more. It's just something that I notice when you specifically, because I noticed you talk about it a lot.
About what?
About morality. Sorry.
Because it's so powerful against atheists.
Right. The only thing is that like I said, you have two different. You guys are both using a different definition.
Well, tell you what. Let me work on an article, maybe if I have time, among my million other things, and then you could review it, and we could, kind of go back and forth a little bit about it. Maybe we could polish it up a little.
Yeah, yeah, I'm happy to. I'm happy to keep talking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I had. I just wanted to talk about that.
Oh, hey, I appreciate it. I do. I like it. It helps me think things through.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Well, good.
Good.
Yeah, I enjoyed talking to you, man. I'm a fan. I'll keep listening to the podcast and.
Hey, you should start the. I was just gonna say. You should do a sort of Facebook group, Atheist Fan Club of Matt Slick, or something like that.
Yeah, one member.
Well, I was going to say set the goal for at least 10 and see if you can get at least 10. That would be and then when you come out here, I'll buy you a beer.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for the conversation. I'll talk to you later.
All
right.
All right. Next up is a guy with a Google Plus Hangout handle of Get Real. You can hear my dog snoring in the background.
Can you guys hear me? Hello?
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm new to this. I guess I kind of want to lead off of what the last guy was saying a little bit. I'm sorry, you can hear me?
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry. So what he was just talking about was actually sort of the law of non-contradiction, which is kind of inherent in communication. Anytime we speak to one another, we have to communicate something effectively, right? And basically, logic is something that is inherent in communication. If language exists, right, then by definition, logic exists, because without logic, you can't effectively communicate anything. So then it follows that if you're communicating something, then logic exists. So you don't really need to ground it in anything beyond the fact that we speak language and that we communicate to one another.
Yeah, that's an argument that logic is a function of language, but it presupposes.
Go ahead.
It presupposes communication. It presupposes logic. So it's presupposing the laws of logic. But the problem is that just saying that it's a product of communication doesn't work, because it presupposes the laws of logic in order to have communication. The question then becomes, what are the necessary preconditions that must exist in order for those laws of logic to have their meaning, their quality? And that's not answered in the communication issue.
Okay, well, I can explain that further if you'd like. I think that logic is actually just explained by what we observe.
But to observe means you presuppose a law of identity. That something is what it is and is not what it is not. You're borrowing from the Christian worldview here in order to argue against the Christian worldview, which is self-refuting. So you can't, from your own perspective, if you're an atheist, account for the universality of the laws of logic.
No, there's actually nothing like about Christianity in this. I'm merely just saying that it arises automatically that the moment you try to create a set of rules, right, which is what you were talking about with the other person, you have to follow a set of rules, right? You agree upon these code words, which is our label for these experiences that we have,
So
right?
they just develop. The laws of logic just emerge?
I'm saying that they are an inherent property when we go to try to describe our observations.
Okay, well, that's a problem. Because a property is a property of something. So then what you're saying is, for example, a bowling ball has roundness and hardness. Those are properties. So the laws of logic are properties of what?
Of language.
So then if there's no language, there's no properties of logic.
What do you need logic for
Hold on.
if you're not
I'm working with what you're
communicating
saying.
something?
I'm working with what you're saying. Is German logic better than English logic or Spanish logic?
They still have to follow a set of rules to communicate to one another.
So then you're saying if they're properties of language, but they have to also follow a set of rules, then you're contradicting yourself. Because the properties would emanate out of the language, but now you're saying the language has to follow the set of rules.
To communicate something to somebody else, you have to agree upon a set of rules.
You're assuming logic in order to do that.
Okay, well go with me here for a second.
I'm just showing you that you're being inconsistent. You're refuting yourself. You haven't seen that yet. Maybe I've just not failed. Maybe I have failed to communicate that properly to you. If you're going to say that communication requires the laws of logic and that the laws of logic are properties of the communication, then you're arguing completely circular here. What you're doing is you're saying the laws of logic exist when we communicate. You're saying that the laws of logic are properties of communication.
Yes, because
then I said, is Spanish logic better than German logic, better than English logic? And you said, well, they have rules they have to adhere to. That's where you shot yourself in the foot, because they have to adhere to the rules of logic. But if they're properties of language, then they don't have to have rules they adhere to. The properties emanate out of that language. The language wouldn't have to adhere to any rules outside of itself. That's where you're self-refuting.
Well, you don't have to be logical when you communicate something to somebody else.
That's exactly why you're saying what you're saying, because you're not being logical.
Well, give me 1 second. Just 1 second to explain.
I just showed you you're refuting yourself.
No, because all language uses discrimination between things that are the same, right, and things that aren't the same.
You're presupposing the law of identity there.
I'm saying, but that's inherent in language. You don't need anything supernatural.
I just dealt with that issue, though. Look, I just dealt with this issue that you say it's inherent with, and you said properties. We went through this. We're just chasing our tail right now.
Do you realize that logic isn't the only thing needed for reason, right? It requires a bunch of things, and logic is only one of those things. Probably, I could list 6 different things that are, reasoning requires those abilities.
Reasoning requires a mind.
It requires logic. You have to be able to create a model outside of yourself, a model of yourself. You have to be able to, do all those things. That's why we can give, that's why computers can do all logical functions, because we know the causal steps. No, because we know the causal steps.
Designs them, yes.
We know the causal steps that can carry out those functions.
Yeah, you're just saying, what you're doing is you're saying logic is an emanating property of existence that has a transcendental nature. What you're doing is you're saying that the property of the universe, one of the properties, the emanating properties, is logic. But that's a problem, because properties are measurable. All properties of something are measurable. The bowling ball, for example, hardness is measurable.
How do we measure properties of God?
Okay, hold on. We're talking about logic here.
Which is part of God, right?
No. You cannot, just hold on. You cannot measure the property of logic like the law of identity. It has no mass, has no weight, has no location.
And I wasn't saying you can measure language. I'm saying that it's inherent.
Yes, you can measure language. You measure cadence. You can measure length.
Those are parts of language.
Verb order.
Yeah, right. But I'm saying that
passive active voice.
If you want to communicate something to me, we both have to agree that like certain words mean certain things, right?
Okay, let's get back to this issue of the property, because you're saying the logic is a property of language.
I can connect it right now. I can connect it right now. If I say my dog is all black and he's all white, that doesn't make sense, right?
Correct.
Okay, because we both have an agreement upon what black means and white means, and black, for instance, means not white, right?
Correct. So it can't all be both all of what the other excludes. Correct.
So what I'm saying is, like,
which
So
is the second law of logic.
okay. Do you understand that that's inherent in communicating something to you then?
It's inherent in it. Okay, watch.
If you don't agree by that rule,
Hold on.
how can you communicate?
Watch this. Watch this. Wait, I got a question for you. How do you know it's inherent in language?
Well, I'm explaining that to you. If you refuse to decide, if you and I refuse to decide on any of those rules, or we don't obey the rules, then we're unable to communicate.
You mean if we don't presuppose the validity of the laws of logic, we can't communicate?
We're unable to communicate to each other, right?
So then the laws of logic are not the same thing as just simple communication.
You also can't communicate with yourself.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
Because
I can write myself a note, put it on my calendar, and then be reminded myself tomorrow about something to do. Yes, I can.
You have to be able to compute something.
Then
you have to communicate those results.
I just showed you that your statement was false, and you ignore it.
Am I not allowed to respond?
Well, look, if you make a statement that I refute, and then you ignore the refutation and go on, then we have a problem. Because what you're doing is you're building on illogical statements. I show you that they're illogical, you ignore it, and then you continue. Why should I go on having a logical conversation with you when I demonstrate to you you're being illogical, and then you ignore how I do that, and then you want to continue on? Why would I want to continue to do that with you?
Well, you can help me understand instead of just telling me that I'm wrong.
I have been telling you and showing you. I've been showing you how you're refuting yourself. I've been citing you and telling you and showing you repeatedly.
Okay, well, if I'm wrong on this point, that's fine. I have other things I could talk about.
You said I can't communicate to myself.
Yeah, I don't think
I can. I can write myself a note on the calendar for tomorrow and be reminded. Yes, I can. I just showed you. And you say, well, then go ahead and show me. But I just did. You're not listening.
That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. I meant internal thought. You can't. That's what reasoning is, right? It's actually like you need retrieval and presentation. You need correspondence. You need all these things to be able to come to these conclusions. It's not just logical.
You're assuming the correspondence theory of truth here. But
you need self-awareness, right? Which is something we have, right?
Okay, wait. Look, now you're all over the map here.
No, this is all part of reasoning itself. Logic is one little part of it. And I was just saying that logic, like those things like the law of non-contradiction, that itself is a part of the rules that we use to communicate something.
Where do the rules come from? Where do those rules come from?
Or what we observe, I mean.
They come out of what you observe?
If I have to describe what I observe to you, then I have to discriminate between things that are the same and things that aren't. And if language exists, and I'm telling you, if language exists, then it follows that the universe has things that are the same and things that are not.
Okay, hold on a sec. I'm going to tell you something here. You need to study logic a little bit more. You need to understand the issues here. You're failing to understand a lot of stuff. You're begging the question. You're committing the fallacy of conflation. And you're also building straw man arguments. You're confusing the issue of properties with essence. You're not understanding the differentiation between them. You're making a lot of mistakes here.
What's essence?
Hey, you know it's late.
So you're just gonna
just move on. No, look. When I show you, I recommend that you really study these things. And you say, well, what is essence? Look.
So what's a book I should go to? Give me like a recommendation. Actually, like help me learn this. Don't just block me or
First of all, I'd recommend you read the Bible, read the Gospels. Second, I'd recommend that you get a book called Scaling the Secular City. Third, there's another book. I don't have the title memorized. I'll show you this book you should get. Seriously, you should get it.
One other question.
Scaling the Secular City. And you should also get...
He's not even listening.
He's not listening?
No. What was the second book he suggested?
Get this book.
He doesn't know.
Are you even there?
Scaling the Secular City.
Studied by J.P. Moreland. I recommend you get this book.
I'm sorry.
I recommend you get this book.
J.P. Moreland?
Yes, J.P. Moreland.
Philosophical Foundations. Okay.
For a Christian worldview. Okay?
Okay.
I'd recommend that J.P. Moreland's in here as well. I'd recommend you go through some of this stuff and learn about metaphysics, learn about laws of logic, transcendentals, because I want to say something here, and it's going to be a compliment, believe it or not, okay, is that what you're trying to do is argue, I'm going to say this the right way, because I do not want to sound insulting in any way, but I have to be careful how I say this. You're trying to argue beyond your knowledge, but the reason you're doing that is because you got some brains. And I can see that you're thinking, I can see that you're doing this, but what you need is more training in certain areas. And I'm commending you, actually, seriously. But I would recommend that you get these books and go through them a little bit and read up on some stuff, because it'll hone some of the things together. Because what I've done is I've shown you a few times why some of the arguments you are making are self-refuting, and you're not able to see it. And please understand, I am not trying to be condescending or insulting in any way.
No, it's okay.
Okay, but I can see that you got it. You got some good stuff upstairs, and it just train it a little bit. I've had guys do this with me as well. I've made arguments. They said, Matt, you don't understand a few things. Let's work with some of this stuff, and they've trained me. So the same thing. I'd recommend you read those things or get them and go through a little bit of it. I know you're an atheist, though, right?
Yeah, I'm an atheist.
And I'd recommend you do that. And also, you know what? I'd recommend you to get this. It's an MP3, Bonson-Stein debate on existence of God, and listen to it. And I listened to it 12 times.
I've listened to a lot of debates on the existence of God.
Well, try this one. It's a little bit different, and it's called The Shot That Was Heard Around the World. It was, basically it was just the atheist got destroyed by the Christian. Bonson versus Stein.
Do you remember the date of it?
In the 90s.
Okay. I haven't listened to many in the 90s, so that's cool.
It was earlier than that, I think.
It was? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was in the 80s. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, my bad then. But it's really quite good, and to be honest, you may have to listen to it several times before you start getting what's being said, as did I. All right? I'd listened to it several times before, hey, wait, and it's really good, okay?
You can read, just for example, you can read transcripts of the
debate as well.
Yeah. So you can read along with it as well. It helps.
Sorry. Yeah, I need to bow out. I got company, okay, you guys? I got to bow out. I got company.
Well, thank you for talking to me.
See that guy right behind me?
Still hang out, man. So.
Who's that? Out of Mormonism. He just came out of Mormonism 4 months ago. His wife came out about 3 months ago.
Praise God, man. Awesome. Hey, guys.
And, I've been training him. Get this, Matt Yester. I've been training him and leaning him towards Reformed theology, but he doesn't know that yet. But trying to get him to get grounded and some stuff, because he's working on a Facebook group where a lot of Mormons are coming out of the church and are in need of discipling. So I'm kind of discipling him so he can work with them.
Awesome, bro.
I'm glad you mentioned it, because all hangout I've wanted to say, Matt, he's behind you.
But I do need to go, because I need to be polite to them, and we've been on a little bit long time here. So, did you want to say something? You said you want to talk to them.
Sure.
Okay, he wants to say something, so here.
What's up, everybody?
What up?
Hey, for any of you Matt Slickers out there, would you go to CARM? He's not allowed to look at his Facebook yet. I hijacked it. So please go and look at his CARM website. I'm not going to let him look at it until later tonight, but we're going to try to surprise him. So appreciate y'all.
I already got a private message from somebody who believes that Matt Slick's website has been hijacked. So
it was by me while he was doing this.
Facebook or the CARM site?
The Facebook CARM site.
Yeah, I gave him the password so you can get in and do some stuff.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so he has no idea what I just did. So nope, he can't. Not for a couple hours. Appreciate you guys.
All right, Matt Slick, thank you very much for coming on.
All right.
We're going to wrap up the...
God bless you guys. I'm just going to bow out right now. Talk to you guys next week, okay?
We're going to wrap up the... Thanks, Matt.
Okay, God bless.
We're going to wrap up the Google Hangout portion of this broadcast. Those that want to continue listening, you can click on the Mixler feed. I did post that in the comments, or you can just go to Biblethumpingwingnut.com and click on the Mixler link. That'll take you so that you can hear whatever is going to take place when we go off air. What else did I want to say? I think that's about it. Hogtie says that Matt Slick is running away from him.
No, don't do that. That's a running joke amongst the whole group of us. Everybody knows what it. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, he's scared. He's scared. We know it.
Yeah. And the link to join it will still be good. We just won't be airing on the Google Hangout portion. So thanks everybody for watching and listening, and may God bless everybody. Take care.